Okay, another drive time video. This time I want to talk about something that I don't often waffle on about a lot, and that was that I was in business for a short while. Look, I see so many people, I'm going to start a business doing this and that, you know, so confident they're going to make it, and I've been there and I've done that, and I know some of the failures to expect. So let's talk about some of the things that happen in business that you don't expect. The first one that may happen is you will work extremely hard. I mean, things that used to take you, or you estimate would take you 3 weeks to do, you'll be able to do them in a week. And you'll look back and you go, God, blimey, there's no way I could have normally done that in a week. And there's a good reason for that. When you're in business on your own, you start to realise that your ass is on the line. And if you want, you know, money, you get stuck into it, because it's like, it's not like when you work for a boss, it's like, if something stuffs up, it's, oh well, you know, so what, I still get paid anyway, because, you know, the boss has made profit on other jobs, and that sort of makes up for this one that screwed up. When it screws up, it's on your head. You don't get paid that week. You may be having trouble even having enough money to put food on the table and fuel in your vehicle. That's what it's like. So you tend to realise that you work immensely hard, because there's no sort of buffer zone of, oh well, the boss is going to pay me anyway. It's just direct from you to the customer. The other 30 is this idea that if I be my own boss, then I won't have a boss to answer to, and it's all going to be great. No, it doesn't work like that. The customer turns into your boss. And why you go, oh, I'm sick of the boss getting picky about this and that, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, then you get customers that are picky with this, that, and the other, and it's like, oh, you know, I won't have to listen to the boss telling me what to do, pushing me around. No, you just have the customer telling you what to do, pushing you around, and they won't hand the money over until they get it the way they want it to be. You know, and that's the way it goes. And that's another big lie that sort of, you know, people assume, and it doesn't work like that. The other one, I see so many union types with this mentality, and I work with plenty of people, you know, who are pro-union sort of types, who always vote Labor and stuff like that. But one thing I do see amongst these people, and it's even been noticed in the current Prime Minister, who's a Labor Prime Minister, they've got this idea that if you go into business, the money just starts rolling in, and you got endless amounts of money, and there's, you know, financially you're flying ahead. And you'll see it. Some of these Labor types, oh, my mate's going to go and start his own business. Yeah, it's tough working with the boss, he's going to start his own business. And then 6 months later, his mate's business fails, and they're like, oh, what happened? You know, oh, did he just get sick of it, or did he not like it, or, you know, were the hours still, you know, it was more or less like they assumed that he just didn't like it, or there's something that he, you know, didn't feel was right for him. And they're flabbergasted when they find out that their mate wasn't making enough money. And the mate is actually better off working at a job than they were running their own business. There's just a dream amongst them. They're absolutely sure, certain that if you go into business, it's just like someone turns the money tap on. These same people have got this idea that the company is an endless pit of money, and they'll sort of talk about the company as though they can just afford anything. You know, it doesn't matter what we demand, what we break, what we ask for, what stuff's up, the company's never going to go bankrupt. They've sort of got this idea that just money just starts floating from heaven or something. When you're in business, it doesn't work like that. There's plenty of times where I was, you know, having real issues, and basically, you know, I did work harder than some of the local businessmen I've seen. I've dealt with some of them locally. one water cartage bloke, he strung me out for about 4 weeks or 6 weeks. So, next weekend, next week. Shit, I bloody never ran out of water. You know, another one was a concrete bloke. Rang up, I had a hard night on the booze the night before, can I not turn up? Oh, bloody hell, well, it was a perfect weekend, it was nice and dry. Next weekend he did turn up, but then he turned up like an hour and a half, 2 hours later to check the site out, and then they went back and got the flaming concrete truck ready and bought that out, not before it had a bloody flat tyre. And they, you know, 3.5 hours later, they finally get there, and then it bloody wanted to rain that day, didn't it? God, blimey, but fortunately it didn't rain so much it didn't stuff the concrete up, but, yeah. But, you know, some of them sort of don't have the motivation that I had. And even with the motivation I had, there was something else that come out of the shadows and bit me on the arse that I never would have seen coming. And that was the bloody cost of advertising. It is astronomical. If you can get into some sort of business where you work and contract for your former employer, contract for someone else, you know, where you just sort of, you know, vast majority of your money is bought in without having to advertise, then you're flying ahead. I would literally spend $2 on advertising, and out of every $2 in advertising I spent, I would get $1 back, and that was not even before, you know, that was before the costs of fuel, of tools, equipment. You know, and I'm sitting there going, God blimey, I put $2 worth of advertising dollars to get $1 back before I've covered my costs. That was basically what finished me up in business. That was game over for me in business. Because it just ran me into the ground financially. You know, and it was just pointless. I blew all my savings on bloody advertising and got bugger all results back. Yeah, and they do say when I was in business management at school that you've got to have at least 12 weeks of money to pay all the bills sitting there, and it'll be minimum 12 weeks before you start making anything. Well, you know, I was in business for about 4 months, and it just was pathetic. So I basically bailed out, and maybe things were going to start to go fine. I did have that inkling, but then, you know, look, just advertising, it just killed me. So I thought if I ever go into business again, I'm going to try and find an option where I've got salespeople on the ground, or B, I've you know, got some avenue where I don't need to advertise to get money, or the advertising costs are very low. Fortunately, I have found a newspaper that is very cheap with advertising, and it does have readers. And you know, I got quite a lot of calls I got were from that one newspaper. It was surprising how cheap it was and how good it was for the comeback. But that one newspaper, I'm thinking of tackling something that the readers of that newspaper are a certain group, and I'm thinking of dealing with a product for that certain group. And there's a lot of other people who are suddenly starting to advertise in that one newspaper as well. But it's because it's so good. Especially if you have products that are very appropriate for the readers of that product. And the readers of this particular newspaper are relatively well cashed up too, and they will buy the stuff. But yeah, I will be going back into business again. You know, working for a boss, everybody says, oh, it's not for me, and you know, I said that same thing because I've had a lot of shit jobs, and the job I'm in now, believe it or not, I'm quite happy to say, is probably one of the best places I've ever worked for. And although I sort of, you know, may gag and leave there, I would like to re-enter being in business again. It does give you a real sense of, it is a very raw feeling in a way, because you're busted the line. But it sort of does give you a very, you know, real sense of motivation and that, and it's sort of, it's exciting and scary at the same time, you know, because you sort of, your ass is on the line, but I feel it's in a good way because it builds your character very well and it makes you very responsible. And look, you made it on your own as opposed to just sort of bubbling away in a job, you know, where It didn't sort of matter if you bug it up every once in a while, sort of thing. It gives you a very solid sense of independence as well. That's one thing that must be noted. But yeah, I find out certain things as well, like I sort of was in one area and sort of merged off the track a bit and started mowing lawns and stuff around. Look, I've heard so many people, I'm going to start a business mowing lawns, and I know of another bloke now who said the same thing to me recently. Bloody hell, there are 4 people for every one lawn mowing job out there, I'm not joking. It is just flooded with people mowing lawns and stuffing around with gardens and general labour and landscaping and whatever you want to call it, you know, just bloody pointless. But yeah, I will be going back into business, so if you're a salesperson in Australia, I can offer you quite a good commission. I didn't realise that I've sort of played around with having external salespeople on a commission and it actually worked. But that was in the last weeks when I was running out of money. So I found out a few things, but only as I was running out of money. But if you're a salesperson in Australia, you know, in a reasonable sort of more capital city-based sort of thing, I will have products coming out. There is a project I'm working on that is an individual. I can offer services. That's what I need salespeople for. A certain service I can offer. But there's a project I'm working on at the moment which will be a bloody ground shaker. You're liable to literally see it on the evening news. That's sort of what it's like. It's something I'm involved in building. It's a physical thing. And it's pretty bloody revolutionary. It'll probably be laughed at, but all the same, it'll be pretty shocking when you see it to believe that I could actually build something like that. But there you go. I'm not a complete dumbass. So anyways, yeah, that's that.